Keita with Salah, Jota and Mane. Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. Game has just got underway at Anfield as Liverpool taking on Everton, and the game significant, very significant for both sides. With Liverpool, of course, trying to hunt down Manchester City, who beat Watford by 5-1 yesterday, and with Burnley winning against Wolves earlier on today. Does mean that there really is pressure on Frank Lampard's side, who now start the game in the relegation zone. But it is Liverpool in possession early on in this game. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and John Hogan taking you through the action. And John, this is a big test for Everton now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely massive, this. And I think that we'd be expecting them to do well. Everton, they're at home, but obviously they're shorn of form and confidence. Frank Lampard's trying to find a winning formula, but it's been very difficult for him. So, we'll see how they get on.
Absolutely, yes. But as the game gets underway, as you would expect, right from the first minute, it's Liverpool seeing all the ball and they're already trying to push forward down the right-hand side here now with Salah, who he nutmegs Mykolenko. Then he's got Gordon in front of him, bumps into Gordon and fouls Anthony Gordon, says the referee Stuart Atwell, as you would expect. The home faithful not too impressed with that decision. But Gordon, for his young age, using a good bit of nous there, just basically got in front of Salah, almost forcing the free kick.
Yeah, did well there. I've been really impressed by Anthony Gordon. I just think he looks a cut above in this Everton team. They like a local lad, don't they, as well? And it's very difficult, though. It's the Premier League. It's star-studded. You look at the two lineups, and it's like League of Nations with talent. So actually, to get a young Scouser coming through now, it takes a bit of doing, but he looks every inch, a good player. And he'd be hoping for his good Everton stay up, because it's a really good learning ground, isn't it? And he's not quite the same in the Championship.
No, absolutely not. But Everton were just trying to push forward there. There is actually one change from the advertised 11s, with Michael Keane having to come into the Everton 11 because of a late injury. I'll just run you through the two sides in a moment. Right now, we're just got to see another attack here for Liverpool. Long ball over the top from Thiago Alcantara, who's been in excellent form just recently. Everton do deal with that, though. It's cleared down the left here for Richarlison to chase. But he's not going to get there ahead of Joel Matip, who then goes back towards the edge of his own penalty area. And Alisson now just looking to try and play this back out into midfield. So for Liverpool, it is Alisson in goal. It's a back four of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. The three in midfielder, Thiago Alcantara, Fabinho and Naby Keita, with Mo Salah, Sadio Mane and Diogo Jota as the three up front. For Everton, it is Jordan Pickford in goal, a back four of Seamus Coleman, Mason Holgate, Michael Keane and Vitaly Mykolenko. Three in midfield, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan and Alex Iwobi, with Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon and Richarlison as the attacking three. And as I mentioned at kickoff, Burnley did beat Wolves earlier today, so at kickoff in this game, Everton already are in the bottom three, albeit they do have 2 games in hand over Burnley. One of them, of course, they're playing right now, but it's a tough run-in for Everton as well, John, so it's looking like a pretty tough few weeks now for Frank Lampard's side. Yeah, the fixtures are not kind at this back end, are they? But they're Gordon doing well, and Fabinho, Robbie tackling down to the ground. I think the running for Everton looks pretty horrendous. Actually, Burnley's running doesn't look too bad, but I think both Everton and Leeds, both the runnings for them look very, very difficult indeed. We didn't expect any points really for Everton from this game, but the 11 out there in blue shirts, they'll be expecting something, won't they? They'll be wanting to do well, and it's bragging rights and all that as well. But like I said, a real tough running. They could do with this free kick hitting the back of the net, couldn't they? And I think Damari Gray's going to have a go at this. He's going to have a go. As you mentioned, it was a good run forward there from Anthony Gordon, and it may be a little bit rash there from Matip in bringing down Gordon in the way he did. I don't think he was causing that much of a threat at that point, but it's a really good chance now. They've got the left-footed Mykolenko standing over this one, but it is Damari Gray, hits that one straight into the wall, and that one is played away. And it's now kept alive here down the left-hand side as Jota tries to keep it in play, but it's going to go out. I think he gets the final touch of an Everton man anyway. So a bit of a wasted free kick in the end there for the visitors. As you would expect, of course, have sold out their away allocation. Not exactly a long trip for these fans. There's just a little bit of a problem here in midfield, it seems, for Fabinho. It's almost like he's looking a little bit dazed, or they thought he might have had a blood injury. I'm not quite sure what the problem is there with the Brazilian. The referee just had to check him as well, but we can play on now. Alexander-Arnold waiting to take this throw. Throw from him in towards Mane, back to Arnold, and then hooked up in the air by Fabinho. Decore is underneath this one, but Thiago gets in the header. Iwobi does well to slide in, but then the ball deflects inadvertently into the path of Salah before a ball in midfield finds Demarai Gray, who then plays an early ball into Richarlison. I mean, he's overhit that slightly, so Richarlison couldn't get on the end of it. There may have been a danger that Richarlison was offside anyway.
No, absolutely, and I felt he was there. It's incumbent on him as the main striker for Everton, and of course the man who got the goal for the equaliser last week to get as far ahead as he can. He didn't want to be breaking from halfway all the way. He needs to get further forward, and I think he understands that. He'd rather be playing inside left or inside right, wouldn't he? But he's forced into action, and but I think he's doing a reasonable job.
He is, as I say, he does get goals, but I agree. I think he doesn't quite like that sort of pressure of being the main man playing in that number 9 role. I think he prefers that slight free role, but Everton struggling really to find anyone in good striking form just recently. Ball now played back towards Alisson. 7 minutes gone, independent off-tube studio commentary. It is goalless early on in this Merseyside derby. Just to confirm the early results, Brighton drawing 2-2 with Southampton, Chelsea beating 10-man West Ham by 1-0, and Burnley in that massive win beating Wolves by 1-0. So as things stand, Everton will be per 2 points behind Burnley, although they do have the 2 games in hand. And Frank Lampard, he knew he was taking on a tough job when he came to Goodison, but I think he and the fans and the board were probably expecting for more of a bounce from the manager than they've got so far. Yeah, that's right, and sometimes you just don't get that. I think maybe it's a little bit of a myth that happens. Not always and not all the time, But like we said, they've got some tough fixtures to end the season off. They've got some very good players, but at this point of the season, it's like, where's the momentum? Also, you need that little bit of luck, with injuries and what have you. So it's just seemingly gone wrong. I think if they did go down, they'd probably hop straight back up. But in their long history, I don't think they've been down, have they? And it's one of those things. Nobody wants it, and then it's harder to keep hold of your better players too. It absolutely is, yeah. John's just allowed himself that little quick explanation there because we've had no play in the last minute. Richarlison hit the deck after he had his face flicked there, you could say, by Fabinho. Richarlison was down prostrate on the ground, and the referee Stuart Atwell stopped the game in mid-play, which infuriated Andy Robertson. But I suppose if it's a face or a head injury, the referee has to stop. But Richarlison had nothing wrong with it, really. He got up, and Everton are playing on, and it's a long ball now. Switch ball from Robertson over towards Salah on the right-hand side. Now Alexander-Arnold plays it into Fabinho. Flicked back by Keita into Fabinho. That one is cleared away by Mason Holgate. You just get the feeling that Liverpool haven't quite bedded down in this game yet, but you just get the feeling that Keane and Holgate are going to be quite busy this afternoon. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very difficult for them, isn't it? You get that front three from Liverpool, and they're so fluid, aren't they? And they can make a change like bringing Jota in. Yeah, he'd be champing at the bit. But they won easily last week, didn't they? 4 goals to good against arch rivals, and then they can bring somebody in fresh who's wanting to make a point. Or bring a Naby Keita into midfield. You just think, you're so lucky. An embarrassment of riches, but it's up to Everton. They know what they've got to do. Everton have set their stall out here. They're playing real high-energy pressing football, aren't they? And, they're going to leave it out on the pitch today. They're working so hard. Well, they are. They were working hard then. Good one there from Decore to win the ball back for Everton, and then played it down the right here for Demarai Gray. Just asking a little bit too much of Demarai Gray, though. So Liverpool now back in possession on the halfway line with Thiago Alcantara out towards Jota on the right-hand side. His pass in towards Mane. Just a little bit under hit, though, and that goes out for a throw. Alan with the clearance there. For Everton. There's quite a strong Brazilian thread in this game, of course, with Liverpool having Alisson and Fabinho in their starting 11s. Everton have Alan and Richarlison in theirs. As the ball now back with Iwobi, just gets away from him. Mane, he slides in there, Mane. In the end, I don't think he catches Mikalenko too much, but as I say, you always worry when you see a centre-forward sliding in like that. Yeah, it's a risky effort, that.
sometimes you've got to fight fire with fire. Everton have come out all guns a-blazing, and you can almost hear the words of Duncan Ferguson in the ears of the Everton players get stuck in. Don't let them settle. And in saying that, but they've picked a very physical team, haven't they? And it's almost like they want to match them at 4-3-3 as well. Fair play to that. Liverpool need to sort of get the ball down and pass that pressing team, get round the press and get their front three into action, and they tend to do that. But I would say after 10 minutes it's been a decent start by Everton.
It has been, yeah. I don't think that Liverpool have run them ragged at all. I think that in actual fact you have to say that Pickford's not had a save to make. In fact, I'm not even sure if he's had a cross to catch so far. And now it's Everton trying to go on the attack with Iwobi finding Ducour. He then tries to play it out towards the right hand side of the penalty area for Demarai Gray. But that is picked off, and it's now Liverpool back in possession here with Van Dijk over towards Andy Robertson. And Robertson just holds the ball up. Liverpool, of course, the start of a big week for them. They play Villarreal in the Champions League semi-finals before a trip away to Newcastle, and then that reverse, the second leg against Villarreal before a game against Spurs at home on the 7th of May. So a busy couple of weeks coming up now for Liverpool. Everton have got the small matter of Chelsea at home next weekend, followed up by Leicester City away. Watford away is a massive game for Everton, as is Brentford at home. Those are the next two games they have after that. They need to be getting some points from there, because Burnley do seem to have a bit of a new manager bounces. Here comes Mo Salah now down the right-hand side, and he's trying to act this out now. He has no idea what the linesman's talking about, but he knows that he shoved Mykolenko out the way there.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that, and right in front of the official there, you'd be lucky to get away with that one. Yeah, Mykolenko comes in. There's not too many good left-backs in the Premier League, I don't think. And
Everton sold one of theirs, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, Digne, and who I thought was one of the few. But it is what it is. I think you don't want to keep hold of unhappy players, do you? And unfortunately for the Toffees, for a good long while now, they've had to sell some of the family silver off to keep things afloat, haven't they?
They have, and it's been a quick turnaround, because of course when the new owners came in, it seemed like Everton were going to be competing with the big boys in terms of spending, in terms of squad size. And I think that as with many owners have discovered, that the large amount of money you need to be competitive in the Premier League is actually very large, if not extortionate, and Everton just simply can't match the spending of the sides in the top four, the top six. But as I say, they still have ambitions, of course, to try and mix it with those sorts of teams. There's long throw now from Mykolenko, and Richarlison trying his best there with Matip, but Matip just standing strong, and the ball's out for a goal kick.
When you bear in mind that Chelsea are about to be sold, aren't they? But they've written off about, how many £1.5 billion worth of debt in order for them to be bought. And then you think, well, that's what you're up against. And it's difficult. It's like bottomless pits of cash, isn't it? And then, even to get a team that's into Europe, you'll be competing with the likes of Newcastle, bankrolled by the Saudi royal family kind of thing.
Absolutely, or indeed Manchester City being bankrolled by an Arab sheikh. So it is obviously the sort of the league that you're in is a very, very tough league in terms of how teams spend at the very top of the league. You look at Manchester United. Manchester United have actually been one of the biggest spenders in the league over the last couple of years, but they certainly don't have a lot to show for it. As Everton now just holding firm in midfield, but now they have a chance to break out as Richarlison gets this ball towards Demarai Gray, left-hand edge of the penalty area. Gray trying to shape to shoot. He was nearly brought down there, but he carries on his run. His shot is eventually charged down by Matip. Coleman's up here on the right-hand side, but that's good play. That's great play, actually, from Diogo Jota, back at the edge of his own area, helping out his defence, and then a combination of him and Robertson and Thiago are able to get the ball away for Liverpool.
They fight like lions, aren't they, Everton? I mean, if they can keep this up for 90 minutes, they could go on and win the game. Really impressed, but, it usually only lasts so long. Liverpool have been a team who can be patient. They know that goals are coming. They score a load, don't they? So I don't think they'll be thrilled with the start that they've made, because Everton are making them look like they stood still, but they can afford to be patient.
They have to, absolutely. I think that the problem for Everton is that plan A right now is to frustrate Liverpool, try and pick off a counter-attack, get an early goal. and of course don't concede. But what always intrigues me in these sorts of games is what do the teams, the outsider in this sort of game, what do they do if they do concede early? Because of course they have to have a plan B. You can't just defend a defeat. So it's for the time being, you've got to say Everton have come here with a game plan and it's looking good. But at the same time, Liverpool haven't really got into gear yet, and they're seeing a lot of the ball now in midfield. Are the home side just need to try and get it closer to that penalty area as Keita now drops a bit deeper, and he's off on the run now, trying to find Thiago Alcantara, but Ducour is there again to pick it off for Everton. He plays a quick 1-2 with Richarlison, and there's a run down the left here from Anthony Gordon, and he beats Alexander-Arnold to it, and there's no foul there. I tell you what, Stuart Atwell saying there's no foul. I mean, I like the idea that referees are allowing a bit more physicality, but to me it looked like he was shoved in the back there.
Oh no, I mean, no way. Alexander wants to make that foot race, and then he loses it, and then the next thing you know, Anthony Gordon's goal side of him. Why on earth would he go to ground at that point? And the answer is he wouldn't. So you've got to do the math if you're the referee. Stuart Atwell's bottled out of that one, he really has.
I think he might have done, yeah. It's certainly seemed like Everton with a decent half chance there, but here come Liverpool now with Alexander-Arnold at the edge of the area. His cross is charged down by Michael Keane, and here is Anthony Gordon again. And now the irony there is that on this occasion Alexander-Arnold barely clipped Anthony Gordon, and he does give away a free kick for that.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? We're going to take another look at Anthony Gordon getting that shove in the back there.
That's given by 9 out of 10 referees in 9 out of 10 games for me, because he's at full speed there, Gordon. He's not trying to draw the foul. It's just he's been lent on by Alexander-Arnold there. And
the thing is, he showed his pace there. He got goal side of his man. You know, why on earth would he want to go at ground at that point? There's no benefit. He's beaten his man. You know, Coleman having a word with Stuart Atwell and telling him, he's pointing, listen, you should have done that up there, mate. And it's a good point.
Certainly is. It certainly is a good point. I think that Everton could certainly feel aggrieved about that. I just wonder if that had been right into the box, if VAR had pulled it back. I'm not sure. They probably would have said that there wasn't quite enough contact, but certainly we both feel as though that should have been a free kick. Everton have completely wasted this, though. Michael Keane can put his arms up aloft and say, where was everyone? But his long free kick was just to no one in particular. And that's the kind of thing that Everton have to avoid, because Liverpool are going to get most of the ball anyway, so Everton certainly don't need to give it back to them for free, as Van Dijk now brings it out here with Robertson down the left-hand side as Diogo Jota runs straight into Ducour, but Thiago Alcantara can still keep this ball alive, and he finds Fabinho over towards the right-hand side now for Alexander-Arnold, back in towards Matip and Van Dijk. As the visitors sitting back deep here, and Mane now trying to find a bit of space. He's got Andy Robertson on the overlap, and that's where the ball has gone. Robertson being stood up here by Damari Gray, having to go back towards Thiago Alcantara, who lifts the ball over towards the back post there. Salah was there, but so was Jordan Pickford.
I'll tell you what will make you laugh. Possession stats, 84% for Liverpool, but basically this first 20 minutes they've kind of been hammered, haven't they? They haven't had a shot on target. They've been nowhere near the goal. And it's Everton have been the better team, off 16% of the ball, apparently.
And they've actually had 2 efforts off goal as well, haven't they, Everton, ironically enough. But the long ball over the top now here for Richarlison to chase, gets down towards the edge of the area, leaves it now for Alex Iwobi, who's not really got too many options in the box, has to go back to Gordon. Gordon then, oh, that's awful from Gordon. We've praised the young man, but we've got to give the criticism where it's due as well, and that's a cross that's pretty much overhit the whole penalty area and just flown out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's poor from him. Uncharacteristic that. I think he'd be a strong contender for Everton's Player of the Year. Probably him and Richarlison are two who have shone in the group, but poor ball from him.
It was a poor ball, and now Liverpool are trying to finally get themselves into some sort of attack mode. We've had 19 minutes here, independent off-tube studio commentary, and still no real shot in anger to speak of from the home side. And once again, great work there from Ducour, putting pressure on Thiago Alcantara. It's with Van Dijk now, over towards Alexander-Arnold. Everton just sitting a little bit deeper now, so it just gives Liverpool that little bit more space to try and push forward. As Van Dijk now finds Mane over towards Thiago on the left-hand side. Inside now towards Diogo Jota. But the visitors, for the time being at least, are keeping a firm lid on that penalty area. Salah and Keita now trying to play a quick 1-2. They managed it, but then Alan is there with a challenge. Gets that ball away from Salah. Alexander-Arnold keeps the ball alive, though, for Liverpool. Goes back towards the halfway line now for Virgil van Dijk. And Van Dijk looked left, looked right, just decides to play it short towards Keita. Towards Thiago Alcantara. Now it's with Jota. Jota over towards Andy Robertson. Robertson now under a bit of pressure there from Damari Gray, having to go back towards Thiago, and that's at least 15 passes that Liverpool have strung together now, and they haven't really got any further forward. They're still about 40 yards away from goal. As Matip now over towards Alexander-Arnold again. Doors closed. He's got to go back towards the halfway line. Back to Matip and Keita again. And Liverpool just need to have a little bit more invention, a little bit more creativity, something to try and surprise Everton, because whatever they're doing now, the visitors are wise to it, as Robertson now feeds it towards Jota, back towards Thiago. But John, no way in for Liverpool right now.
No, but they're defending real deep, aren't they? Look how deep Richarlison is, but here's Mane in a shot, and that one flies over the top. Eventually somebody had to do something. But I'm thinking for Everton there, it's a long way to that Liverpool goal. Alisson will be watching it and thinking, well, all the play seems a million miles away from him. You know, but we talk about it, the closer you get to your own goal, the more teams are able to pot shot. That was an effort from a long way out, and it wasn't that close, but you know what I mean. Eventually, if Everton keep like that, defending in their own half, they're almost inevitably going to get defending closer to their own goal, their own goalkeeper, and that brings about its own problems.
As we can see the stats there, Liverpool with one shot, which wasn't on target. Everton with two shots, which weren't on target. Possession 85-15, so that figure is still very, very low indeed. 15% possession. After a few minutes, you'd say that's not a big deal, but after 22 minutes, that is quite a lot. As Mikalenko now trying to win his side a throw down the left-hand side. Just waiting for his teammates to get a bit further forward. Everton, from defending so deep, have now got to try and just push out a little bit, just to make this possession inside the Liverpool half count a little bit more. As Mikalenko now with a long throw headed up in the air by Gordon. It drops to Iwobi. Now it's with Richarlison. Oh, he does really well there to dance away from two Liverpool players. Runs straight into the feet of Matip, but he does win his side a corner.
Yeah, that's it. He's all about that physicality, and you know, he knows how to get it done. He's like a constant frown on his face, Richarlison, doesn't he? But he's a great player.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that privately he would tell you, I wouldn't doubt it for a second, that he absolutely loves his football. But when you see him on the pitch, you think, does he actually like his job? Because he doesn't look very happy out there. But even when he scores, he's got a bit of a sort of angry scowl. But the referee just checking on whether the ball is in the quadrant. It never is, to be quite honest. It never is. And even what Gordon's done there, it's still not in it. The players are always trying to get that little bit of a better angle by not actually having the ball in the middle of that little quadrant at the edge of the pitch. But now we're going to finally see this corner. That 6-yard box is absolutely congested with players. Needs the right delivery from Gordon, and it's a good header away by Naby Keita. Gets a good bit of distance on that. And staying on the halfway line for Everton was Coleman as their last man, and then he goes back towards Pickford, who then sends a long ball over the top down the left here. One for Anthony Gordon to chase. He's onside. Just needs somebody in the box now as Gordon puts it onto his right foot, and then he goes down, and the referee is going to book him here. Now let's have a look at this, because I actually think that there might be some scope to say that this could have been a foul. There's a bit of pushing and shoving now at the edge of the area as the Liverpool and Everton players either trying to attack or defend the player that's gone down in the box. But what do you think, John? Any scope for a penalty here?
I don't know. If it was a penalty, I mean, he may have felt a brush and just thought, I've got to try and make it look obvious. Anyway, is the referee booking Anthony Gordon, or is he booking the man who's contacted him? If it's Gordon and he thinks he's dived, I mean, desperate time call for desperate measures, but we need to see that one again.
Well, let's see it. I mean, as Gordon gets away from Robertson, it's Keita that comes in. Ooh, that is a dive and no mistake, I think.
I think the way he's left clutching his knee, you know, like he's really been tagged and it hurt there. He's rolling around a lot. I think the referee's booked him is the right thing. You know, sometimes you see players, they get a little bit of a touch and it's like, look, I've been tagged and I'm going to go down, and that way the referee will know. But there's nothing. Gordon he just dives out of the way. He's hopeful that he's going to win something there, and the referee's got his number and he gets a yellow card, and that's bang right from Stuart Atwell.
I think so, yeah. I mean, the earlier decision where he was pushed by Alexander-Arnold, he did deserve a free kick for that, but he didn't deserve a penalty on that occasion. We've reached the 25-minute mark here at Anfield. It's still goalless between Liverpool and Everton. It will be John to take us through to half-time.
Thanks, Paul. I mean, it's a bit of a pot boiler, this one, isn't it? Again, Everton were going to go there and make life difficult. We'll just break off. Here comes Alexander-Arnold over the top. Little touch back from Salah, but the Egyptian's first touch was heavy and his second touch was poor. Must have scraped off an Everton shirt though, because it will be a throw. Liverpool will take it. It has a feel more that it's at Goodison, the way that Everton have ripped into at Liverpool. They haven't seen much of the ball, but they've played with a passion and they've really got going. But I don't know how many wheels that's got. You can only do that for so long. Press the ball hard and defend. You need some out ball, and of course we've seen them creep forward. It's not like Liverpool have had a load of shots as Matip fires the ball in and Alan gets there first. Again, Liverpool are finding that it's a motivated Everton who are looking to win all the 50-50s today, and they're doing a good job of that. They've held Liverpool at bay, but it's just a tide, isn't it? Red shirts toward this blue goal now, and it just seems that it's almost inevitable that Liverpool go on and win it. But you would say that Everton are making a good fist of this game so far. Jota's having a fight there with Coleman, shoves him in the face. Is that going to be a card for Diogo Jota? I think it should be.
Well, the referee is calling over Diogo Jota. Seamus Coleman is the one who's gone over to the referee to try and demand a yellow card. I mean, I think that sometimes there's some of the aggressive fouls that get let go without a booking, and then you see a slight dive or a little bit of time wasting, and that's always a yellow card. I do think that sometimes it needs to be in proportion, as we'll see here. Mane gets the ball into to Jota, and that's not good from Jota. Whether or not it's a nailed on yellow every time, I'm not sure, but there just seems to be quite an aggressive approach there from the Portuguese. Yeah,
there's some tough challenges going in there, and you expect that. It's a derby game, but it's when you see a flinging arm and all that coming in. It's a Liverpool free kick. Maybe Coleman's was the first foul, getting in too deep on Jota, but you can't react like that. Anyway, the ball comes in. There go the heads. Van Dijk close to it, but in the end, I think maybe Mason Holgate's done just enough to put him off. Did that glance off one of the Everton heads. Let's take a look. Maybe it did come off for Holgate last. That might be a corner.
It looked like it might have just got a flick off Holgate there. Him and Van Dijk with a little mutual appreciation high five there. Two centre-backs for their respective teams this afternoon. But this is a test now for Everton. It's going to be an out-swinging corner here from the right-hand side.
So Trent Alexander-Arnold, one hand in the air, ball into the middle, and it's a good defensive header from Keane back to Thiago Alcantara. Launches one over the top for Alexander-Arnold. It's a perfect ball, and then they cut back in. Well, it's found the flag go up on the far side. I think that might have been Alexander-Arnold just creeping too far on that right-hand side. Jurgen Klopp looks on in his technical area. Penny for his thoughts. I mean, they need to win, don't they, to get back within a point. They're only 2 goals better off goal difference as well. So, that was in Liverpool's favour. And Man City yesterday with plenty of goals, and Jesus grabbing 4 has helped themselves out. That could be pivotal come the end of the season. And so for Liverpool today, I mean, it's probably vital that they score 2 or 3, and they want to make that goal difference almost like a point for them, don't they? But
well, they do. They absolutely do. I mean, the first things first, of course, they actually have to make sure they win the game. You just think that with the amount of possession they have, they're bound to score eventually. But Everton have really held firm here. I've been very impressed with their start. Maybe a little bit disappointed that Liverpool are still quite linear. They haven't really gone to any kind of sort of flair or creativity, which they need to do really, because they need to try and match Everton's endeavour with a little bit more of their own sort of cut and thrust, I think.
Yeah, they do. A bit more intensity, I think, from the Reds. But here is Salah. He cuts round the first man into the box, but then Gordon is there, makes sure he doesn't make progress. Then Iwobi's fighting for the ball, and eventually it pings off one of the blue shirts again, and looks like Liverpool have another corner kick. Again, Everton are fighting hard, aren't they? But it's a rearguard action, it really is, and you just feel like that it's just a question of time then before a team with good players will create enough space or energy to somehow find a shot that Pickford won't be able to save. As the corner comes in, and the ball bounces down. It comes off Iwobi, but eventually it's hooked away by Keane, I think, and he's done well there, because when the ball hits the deck from the corner in the box, it could go anywhere. Ball's out to the corner kick taker. This time Alexander-Arnold has stayed on side. Ball two-ended from Salah, and then Gordon trying to heel it to himself. The ball has just got big on him and rolled out. He's still at Liverpool on the attack. Liverpool 0, Everton 0. We're past the half-hour mark. I think it's an exciting game, but I tell you what, the Man City fans will be more excited than anybody else watching it. And Everton's approach as Liverpool now down the left-hand side with Robertson, the Scottish skipper. Can he get away? Puts a good ball into the box, and Jota there, side foot strike has gone wide.
Yeah, in an ideal world, Jota would have had maybe just a little bit more space to sort of swing out at this one. I think that he was forced to just sort of try and scoop the ball up a little bit, as Robertson did well, just to try and get this ball away from Coleman. And he was trying to sort of side foot it, lift it past Pickford. In an ideal world, if he'd have been stood just a few yards further away from Robertson, then maybe he could have put his laces through it. But the angles were always against him there, I think. Yeah,
it's a good effort, that first time effort. He side-footed it, but he stood in front of the near post, really. So, if you get too much of a strike, it's always going to go wide. You try and glance it, then it can scrape through the box. But anyway, looks like there's a foul there. Richarlison on Virgil van Dijk.
That 10-minute possession stat there, John, unbelievable. 91% Liverpool to 9% Everton, and that's not in a 5 minutes, but that's in a 10-minute spell. So Liverpool really are completely dominant now.
Yeah, and it strangely doesn't necessarily look like that, but the pattern of the game now is Liverpool rolling towards that Everton goal. Anyway, Everton in a way, they're sort of running at full pelt to stand still, and they're kind of making Liverpool look like world beaters here, as they're breaking forward again. Jota's on the ball, then with Naby Keita, stabs it forward, little give and goes at the edge of the area. Jota then trying to get there, the ball goes back, and then ball chipped up to Richarlison. It's a great out ball from him, he's under massive pressure. Iwobi picks it up, Alexander-Arnold gets hold of it, but then the ball forward to Gordon again. Alexander-Arnold gets there before the young Scouser, and flicks the ball out.
Yeah, so a throw on to Everton down the left, but Frank Lampard, I've only seen him smile, I think, once or twice in the time that he's been in charge at Goodison. It's been a tough time for him, but I think he must be very proud of his players. The trouble is that you almost get no reward. You either defend well and keep it at 0-0, or you're unlucky and then Liverpool can get a goal, or there's a mistake or something like that. And so it is very difficult. I think Everton have got to try and find a way, if they can, of keeping this ball a little bit further up the field when they do get possession, but it's that risk of committing more players forward, isn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely that. We can say that they're playing well and they're putting a lot of effort in. It all counts for nothing. Look, if they go away from Anfield and they've lost 1-0, they've lost. Anyway, here is again Robertson down the left-hand side. Ball back in for Mane's come a bit deeper than Thiago Alcantara. And he runs into a challenge there, and that's brilliant from Richarlison. He's picked a pocket and burst past him there. The ball to Decore, finds him onside. He's rushing towards the goal, gets a shot away, dragged it across the face. That was brilliant from Richarlison and Everton. You probably didn't want Decore on the end of that, but it's a real good opportunity.
No, well, that's the problem, isn't it? That Richarlison here does so well to win this ball, keep it away from Thiago, and Decore times his run perfectly. There's never a hint of offside. But as I say, in an ideal world, it would have been Decore winning the ball for Everton and then laying it off to Richarlison.
Decore had time to pick his spot, but he scuffed his shot, didn't he?
Yeah, it's not a good effort. He never really put his laces through it. I think he was trying to get a bit of curl on it and ended up almost having a double kiss on that shot, didn't he?
Yeah, right. I watched a match of the day the other week where they were purring about Thiago Alcantara, and he'd been brilliant, hadn't he? But there, just pocket picked. Brilliant stuff from Richarlison. But Everton couldn't take full advantage of that. And here again is Thiago. Good ball. Salah's laid back, finds Fabinho. And he is held up by Richarlison. Alexander-Arnold again. Goes back to the Dutchman, Van Dijk. And he takes a touch. And then a good looking ball forward. But this time Keita can't quite get it. But he does well to battle back for the ball. And then Anthony Gordon gets there, He's 21, of course, and Alexander-Arnold 23. They're both Scousers, and I suppose that the 2-year difference in ages means that they haven't necessarily met that often in representative football throughout their careers in Liverpool. But anyway, they're having a good old Scouse tussle today as Van Dijk picks it up, Fabinho, and again this absolute dominance of possession. Where's it going? Well, it's going to Alan, but the out ball is not good from him, and again the red shirts have it, and it's Everton absolutely pushed back. 35 minutes gone, no goals, and it's pretty cagey stuff. Everton scrapping for their lives, and you can see that, but that's not doesn't mean that Liverpool are not going to pick him apart here. With Salah now brings the ball down under pressure from Mikalenko, but he shrugs him off, the Egyptian. Now he's held up by Gordon, and he rolls the ball to the edge of the area. Fabinho tries to give him the wall pass, he can't quite manage that, and Liverpool go back and fetch.
They do. Starting again in midfield here, Liverpool. We've got 9 minutes to go until we hit injury time in this first half. And still no real saves for Pickford to make. Plenty of work for his defenders as Thiago now trying to charge towards the edge of the area. But then Coleman's clearance is charged down by Thiago Alcantara and out for a goal kick. So if Everton's game plan was to frustrate Liverpool, then it's going absolutely the way they wanted to so far. Yeah,
Thiago Alcantara, the Spaniard, needs to get on the ball a little bit more. I think he can pick a pass and make the difference. Incidentally, Paul, I don't know if you knew Copa del Rey final last night, and Real Betis beat Valencia, so that meant that the 40-year-old Joaquin had picked up the trophy. He didn't start, but he came on, I think, and he might even have taken a penalty. And
it's unbelievable. I mean, he's had such a long career. He really has been. We used to do our commentary of La Liga, and he was seen as a veteran then, and that was about 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and he really is a veteran. He picked up the title twice now with his hometown club, Betis. So fair play to him. Just shows you, doesn't it? As Thiago's on the ball, another talented Spaniard, but this time it's all contested in the middle of the park. And like I said, Everton look like a team scrapping for their lives. They really are. They know what position they're in. They don't need to be told. People could have a bit of a pop at Frank Lampard as a manager. I think he's an intelligent bloke who's going to work it out. Just one of those things. They just happen to be there. I don't think you could blame him.
No, I don't think so. I think that the Derby, he did a good job at Derby and was unlucky to lose with them in the playoff final. I think maybe he wouldn't admit this in an interview, but I think we could say that he probably got that Chelsea job a little bit too early. But then, having said that, he's come back to this Everton job, and if he does keep Everton up, then I suppose people would say it's what they expected. But considering they had such a wobble, it would still be a good achievement, I think.
Yep, that's it. You can't win sometimes. But somebody's going to have to go down, and the Clarets showing their fighting spirits today with a 1-0 victory over Wolves. That's put Everton in the bottom 3 and in deep jeopardy. And Leeds United will be looking over their shoulders as well. They play Palace on Monday night. As Thiago picks the ball up, it's all Liverpool again. And with Matip rolling forward, held up by Iwobi. He gets the ball away to Salah. Mikalenko holds him up. Ball with the outstep of the right boot here, and Liverpool try and recycle it. They got lucky to do that. Then the ball chips to the far post. Mane heads it back across looking for Keita, can't quite find him, and the ball drops back to Thiago. At some point, it just takes one Everton missed challenge or the ball to bobble and kindly in the box, and Liverpool are through. That's the problem when you're defending so close to your own goal. But we'll break off because Everton are on the counter-attack here, and a good challenge from Thiago stops Demarai Gray from making progress.
Yeah, that is absolutely the problem, that defending deep means that you can really try and sort of flood the edge of your box and make it very, very difficult for the opposition to get into the box, but it also means that the opposition are all over your half. That's why there's always that difficult balance. Some teams like to defend very high up, which condenses the middle of the park, but it also means that then they run the risk of being caught with a ball over the top or a through ball. So it is a very difficult balance. It's worked out for Everton so far, but then having said that, Liverpool haven't really tried anything different for the time being.
No, they've not got round the back, have they? They might do this time. That's a better ball than out the right-hand side for Alexander-Arnold. Salah goes short for him. Again, Gordon and Alexander-Arnold having a right old scrap there, but Salah now takes the ball up. Then we cater into the box with Jota. He gets the ball away, but then he runs into trouble. All hands to the pumps again, and Mikalenko is the man who put the ball out, and that will be a corner.
Yes, we're just over 5 minutes to go now in this first half, and Liverpool, all this pressure is starting to tell. They're starting to get a few set pieces, but still Everton standing firm for the time being. At this outswinging corner now from Alexander-Arnold, and no surprise, Matip and Van Dijk lurking at the edge of the area to try and attack this one.
So corner kick it is, and set it away near post by Richarlison. Needed to be better than that. Keita's touchdown lets him down. Demarai Gray had longer than he thought there, and the ball eventually goes back from Robertson all the way back to Alisson, who there's not that much to do, but I would argue Everton had the best opportunity when Decore...
Someone down, I think they've stopped play here, John. I'm not quite sure what's happened here, but that's
Richarlison.
I think it is Richarlison again, who's hit the deck. And so we'll just have to wait and see. We didn't actually see what happened to him here because the ball was still being cleared. The ball was being cleared up towards the halfway line, and Alisson was getting ready to play it back up towards the Everton penalty area. We'll see here. It's Richarlison with the header out from the corner, and then as he goes after this one, he just falls. So has that ball perhaps caught him slightly awkwardly? Has it done something? He's hit it with the top of his head rather than with his forehead, John. I'm thinking that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, that, because he just collapsed and there's nobody around him. And
it is. I mean, it made me laugh yesterday. I saw a little note that Christopher Ayer, the Brentford right back, couldn't play against Spurs yesterday because he'd been hit in the face with the ball the day or 2 days before and he had concussion. Now that's a very legitimate reason not to play, but I'm just thinking that go back 10 or 15 years, I don't think a football club would admit that one of their players wasn't starting because he'd been hit in the face with the ball.
No, absolutely that. I mean, there used to be players who... often fling their face in front of the ball from a free kick, and that would be part of their, party piece. I think we're a bit more savvy now, though, aren't we?
Oh no, absolutely. I think that the fact is that there's, not just in terms of head injuries, but also long-term issues with heading has become an issue now in terms of increasing or accelerating the onset of dementia as well. So it's no surprise there, but it did look strange because it seemed like a very straightforward header for Richarlison, and he looked a little bit groggy afterwards.
He did. He looks all right now, though. They poured a bucket of water on his head. As Alexander-Arnold puts a deep cross in, Demarai Gray at the far post there is able to diffuse that, and the ball goes backwards. 42 minutes on the clock, and it's goalless at Anfield. It'd be nervy, won't it? They, looking for something special, need to hang on to the coattails of Man City. Need to do that by gaining a victory. As Jota tries to roll around the back, he does really well to keep the ball in. Keane didn't listen to his keeper, otherwise he would have left it for him, and hammers the ball out to Richarlison, but it's well dealt with by Joel Matip. The Cameroonian has just took the ball away from him comfortably there, and now with Mane to Robertson, and I don't know, you could almost feel the anxiety and nerves around Anfield. They don't want this to be the game that trips up a potential title challenge. Keita's in the box now with Salah, but leaning back. We know where that ball goes. It probably wide as well as high.
Yeah, no threat to goal with that effort from Salah. You've got to say that the Liverpool front three haven't really got into gear, and I'm not necessarily saying it's because they're playing badly, just they're not getting enough of the ball in and around the box. It's all sort of stopping 25-30 yards out, and then Liverpool somehow try to get the ball to the edge of the area, and on this occasion Salah, that one's curling wide, and it's about more than 10 yards over, I think, in the end from the Egyptian international. It will be Pickford to restart play, but in terms of Everton's game plan for this first half, if you'd have said to Everton that you could be 0-0 with Liverpool at half-time, I think most Everton fans would have taken that.
Well, so far, Nai, the keeper, has had a save to make, and you look at the stats, forget the possession stats, they're immaterial really. Everton have had 3 efforts, and Decore has been the best. He was running through and scuffed his shot to the 2 from Liverpool, which I can scarcely remember really. So it's one of those hard-fought Merseyside derby, and it's like a nervy watch, I would have thought, at Anfield. And for the Evertonians who've made the trip, I think they'll be feeling good about the effort that's been put in at half-time. I think it's difficult team talk for Lampard at half-time, because it's like saying, well done, lad. Richarlison just got caught by a heel then of the Liverpool player who ran past him, but play will not stop. Liverpool still have the ball. They don't need to put it out. Stuart Atwell's made sure that the player's all right as Jota tries to wriggle into the box. He's held up by Allen. And I think now Well, they could put the ball out.
Liverpool don't want to clear it, and the referee doesn't want to stop play. Stuart Atwell obviously has a medical degree, and he can tell just from running past Richarlison that he doesn't need any physiotherapy, so we're going to play on it, but the Brazilian's still down.
Yeah, and then Decore chops down Fabinho.
He does, yeah, and the thing is, he's been booked, but the reaction of the Liverpool players is ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't think that what Decore has done there is so unbelievable that it takes 8 Liverpool players to charge at him. That, I think, is the nerves, the tension of the Merseyside derby, because the crowd will be absolutely on this as well. But in my opinion, what Decore did there is a solid yellow, but it's the reaction of the Liverpool players is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's over the top, isn't it? Absolutely is. We knew what was going to happen there. I don't know why all the players seemingly want the play to stop when a player goes down. If it isn't a head injury, we all know that he's not going to, the referee doesn't need to stop it. Stuart Atwell looked over the top. Liverpool had a chance to put the ball out, but they were never going to do that. And their own fans were screaming for them to play on. And it's not as if Richarlison doesn't have previous. He knows all the dark arts. I'm not saying he isn't injured, because he is. But what I'm saying is that he'd be the last person you'd worry about.
It looks fairly innocuous though, that contact with Thiago Alcantara.
He caught the back heel because he's trying to tackle from the wrong side on Thiago. So it was almost like his own fault. You know what I mean? And when Decore trips Fabinho, he rolls around. He gets a yellow card, and then everybody. Jota is the worst there, and I would have booked him for that.
Jota pushed the referee there as well as he was trying to get to Decore, but the Everton man has got his 5th yellow card of the season. I mean, he's a tough, bruising central midfielder, so 5 yellow cards for the season is about right for this stage of the year, I would say. I think Mane might have been booked as that he might have been adjudged to have been the most sort of volatile of the Liverpool players in that little scuffle as well.
Yeah, he was booked, but Jota was lucky, wasn't he? And Mane, the Senegalese, goes in the book, and he has a right smile on his face and a quizzical look, but don't do it, mate. You didn't need to do that. I don't know what he's grinning at, because it's stupidity, that. And all that kerfuffle doesn't help Liverpool in terms of time. We're trying to look at. I'm trying to look for him now. Where was he?
Oh, he pushed Alan in the face, Mane. He's just sort of 2/3 of the cross on our pictures that we're getting in our studio, and it's actually quite hard to pick out, because at one stage, if you were to use the letter of the law that players using sort of physicality in that way, that you could probably booked about 5 or 6 players there, really.
I don't know how Jota got away with that, and like you said, he's so intent on getting Decore, pushes Stuart Atwell out of the way. If I'm a referee, I'm absolutely having none of that, and he would have got himself booked anyway. I don't know if the referee did well or not there, but anyway, play goes on. Liverpool have the ball and we're off again. We're nearly at half time as Matip puts the ball into the box, but Pickford will come out and drop on top of the ball. We're into 2 minutes of added time, of which we've probably had those 2 already. Klopp looks on. He doesn't look thrilled, does he?
No, he doesn't. Well, neither does Frank Lampard, but Frank Lampard's just probably trying to, as you said, it was going to be a difficult half-time team talk for him, so he's trying to probably process exactly what to tell his players just to give them the best chance of doing something in the second half. I
mean, what do? Do you pat Everton on the back and say, go again? I always think there's a danger when you do that. I think for Liverpool there'll be a lot of technical talk about how they're going to get round these guys and what they need to do. For Everton, is it just let's go out there and fight like tigers again?
Well, Klopp was very animated there as the players were just Liverpool were just in possession right by the Liverpool dugout. He obviously feels as though maybe there isn't enough movement, that perhaps Everton are able to see through what Liverpool are trying to do, but maybe one more attack now before half time.
Anyway, here are Liverpool with Mane chips the ball into the box. It's past Kate, it comes off Iwobi's head like a 50p piece there, goes backwards to Pickford, he gets dead lucky. And the referee still hasn't quite called it.
I think he just wants to play a full 2 minutes after the 2 that we've had awarded, so probably once Pickford clears this long, that should be it for the half. But it's been a tough half for Liverpool. They've tried, but they just can't break Everton down.
Yeah, and Everton have done pretty well to hold them at bay and created a couple of chances as well. As the long ball again from Pickford looking for Richarlison. It's a good weapon, that, and he's used it well. Matip has had to head that one away. And so it's Everton who can finish the half off more strongly if they get opportunity to do that. He might be playing like 2 extra minutes like you've said, but already we're closing in on 50 minutes now. So Mikalenko takes the throw, Richarlison plays it off at Fabinho, Ball goes out, be another throw for the Toffees, but the referee Stu Atwell has blown his whistle at half time. Is Liverpool 0, Everton 0.